Good afternoon, YouTuber subscribers and friends and the like. It's Grant coming at you from the middle of Ohio. I'm on westbound 6, headed towards Chicago. It's a back road that's just south of, what is it, I-90 or I-80, the toll road. I'm using this back road because I have plenty of time on this 3-day weekend load to get it from Binghamton, New York, which is in the middle of New York, upper state New York, all the way to Milan, Illinois, which is pretty much Davenport, Iowa. It's in the Quad Cities. And it's a 850-mile run, but I have 3 days to complete it because I loaded up on Friday morning. It's now the middle of Saturday. What are you doing, drug? Getting out of that guy's way. Anyway, it's now the middle of Saturday, and it's July 30th or 31st, I believe, one of the last days in July before August starts in 2017. I haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I'd make an update about it, my experience expediting, and I thought I'd give you a little bit different view today of me driving. I guess you could see some of the driving out the window on one side. Sorry, my phone is hooked to my rearview mirror, so that's about the best view you're going to get of it. If I'm not looking right at the camera, that's why, it's because I'm trying to drive. Technically speaking, I shouldn't be driving and making a video or driving and being on the phone or doing any of those other things. My main concern should be driving, but that's partially what I wanted to talk about. The longer and longer I have gotten into expediting myself, and this might be a different thing for you if you get into it, the more it seems like I went, like from any other job, I went from like a newbie, I wouldn't say newbie driving because I've been driving for a while, but I haven't been driving the kind of numbers or the kind of miles repeatedly that you drive in expediting. You know, when I first started out, and you know, I was like your regular 9-to-5er, or even when I was camperman driving, the most I'd drive is like 100 miles in a day. Well, when you get out expediting and the weeks get busy, like this last couple weeks have been, which is good for the paycheck, good for the money, you routinely drive 500 miles or more a day, which is really good for business. But man, once you start doing that for a while, it seems like you go from newbie status to kind of apprentice, learning everything. As you go, you know half of everything, and then half or not, down to like expert, down to it gets boring after that point. And really, in expediting, not to bring it down or anything, it's a great job. Don't get me wrong; it's one of my 3 best jobs I've ever worked at. That falls in the category of a lifestyle, because it's not really a job so much as a lifestyle, being that you're pretty much on call all the time to get that phone call, to get that load. But I'm thinking about giving up on it at the end of August, temporarily. I might be back in expediting later on next summer or some other time, but to put it frankly, I miss having friends that you talk to, get to know every single day, your co-workers at work or whatever. I miss the little things. I miss having a bar tab and being a regular at a bar and walking in and they already know your drink. They already know what your food you're going to order at whatever restaurant you walk into, because you're a regular. You're there every Thursday or every Friday or whatever. I miss the little things about that 9-to-5 kind of life. Not that I want to go back to working a stationary 9-to-5 life for a long time or nothing, but this winter I'm thinking about working at one of the resorts, or possibly a cruise ship. I'm seeing what else I can line up, because it's time for yet another new chapter in my life. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bored. Well, I'm starting to get bored with expediting. I'm not tired. Well, I would say I'm about half tired of the long miles expediting. I'm kind of tired of the nitpicking negotiations that you got to do on the phone to get the right load for the right pay, right time, going this way and that way. Don't get me wrong, it's the right thing for the right person at the right time, and it was that right thing for me for a while. But everything in life comes to its own end, and an expediter the other day was saying something unrelated to this, but it made sense in the fact that if you don't have constant change in your life, you don't change stuff up, you're never really learning. I mean, you're continuously learning, but you're not learning as much as you could be if you test yourself and force yourself to change out of your habit and do different things, which would include leaving expediting to go work for something else for a few months. And like I say, I might get back into it next summer, but knowing what I know now, if I do come back in, I would either drive for a mom and pop style business that one of those vans that don't have the markings on the sides that probably drive for about 73 cents a mile, because they're more apt to go nationwide versus these bigger companies that stay with their customers that are all east of the Mississippi River. I thought about signing on with a different bigger company like V3 or Fusion or something like that, and I looked into it, but at the end of the day, I think I would get bored with expediting again here in about 3 months after going out west a few times. I just need a change of scenery, a change of picture in it. Kind of tired of the eastern United States people's attitudes, of the crowds, of the tight parking lots. You know, I'm born and raised out west, and once you've been out there like that, man, you miss the wide open spaces. Don't get me wrong, there's places like Indiana and middle of Ohio that I'm driving through right now that are pretty close to wide open spaces. But even then, when you drive into their towns become these tiny little parking lots. And these tiny little parking spots and everything, because they modeled them off of the East Coast. As further out west people went, they finally opened up the parking lots and opened up the stores and everything to where you're not as packed in as the crowds dispersed, and you don't have as many people living in every town. The further east you go, the more and more crowded they are, and the way people live like that every single day, they become condescending, or they have this negative attitude, this negative vibe, like next, who cares who you are or whatever. When you go out west, it's a different story. People are laid back. They're apt to help you with whatever it seems like they'll make the time. If they don't have the time at the moment, they'll make the time for you. That kind of thing. And I miss that kind of culture. It's a different culture in a different section of the U.S. Everywhere you go, it's a different culture. The Southwest is different than the Northwest. The Northeast, of course, is different than the Southeast, and etc. But I kind of miss being out west, and I kind of need to take a break from expediting and driving the long hours, because it's not for everybody continuously. Although I will say this, if you already live over east, so none of that affects you because you grew up here, not that it's a bad thing or anything. Like, say you grew up in Tennessee or Ohio, have a house there, maybe have a wife there, kids there, whatever, expediting would be a great job for you, because you can get out here, drive all week long, go back home, have the best of both worlds, have the ability to go home and be around people that you know, and have that kind of being a regular in that hometown type of feeling, and just having people around you, because it's a lonely lifestyle out here, I'm not gonna lie. But then you can hit the road and make money, drive, and the good thing about expediting is, I do have to say, hands down, aside from working on a ranch, this is pretty much the easiest job I've ever done, and the highest paying job I've ever done too, combined, which is really hard to leave that industry when you know that in the back of your head, that this is the easiest job, that they pay me to literally drive and look at these views. And really, outside of just strapping your loads down, I'm strapping them and signing some paperwork. I'm not really doing anything physical. But again, that's another reason that I want to at least take a break from expediting, because I'm getting a bigger gut, which you can't see right now. I'm not going to turn the thing down for you, but I've noticed it just this almost 5 months that I've been doing it, 6 months by the time I'm done, that my gut has gotten huge. Because it's just way easier and way more convenient to go in and drive and buy fast food, or go in and buy restaurant food, or check out the local places as you're driving. Because now that I have money, I notice now that I have money versus those days that I only had like $1.50 in my pocket and didn't have the funding to do it, I turn around and it seems like I have to go justify my spending long hours out here alone by myself, driving these long miles that I not necessarily want to drive consistently all the time, like expediting somewhat requires on the busier weeks. It seems like I have to justify that with going out and buying more expensive type of food in a restaurant. And it's really, I'm just doing the same thing as those 9-to-5ers would do. They'd go get off of work and they go work out at the gym, and they go to a movie at the movie theater, they go do their laundry, they go hang out with friends at the bar. They go spend money that they don't necessarily have to spend right there, right then, but they do it to justify their means, to give them some temporary pleasure, to justify all their time out there working. And I'm not trying to say expediting is bad or anything, it's just, honestly, the best way to get into this industry, I think, hands down, when you first start, is to come on as a driver for somebody else, but then only spend about 6 months into it driving for somebody else, save up some money, and go and buy your own van. Get in underneath the lease. Hopefully you have a good enough credit line to do it. I would say buy one of those newer to less than 5-year-old vans and come out here and as an owner-operator, because like say this last week, the van itself made $1,600, and of that I made $770, I think was the split on it, if I remember right, the numbers, virtually half that. But that old $1,600 would have been mine, or possibly onto the van, depending on how maintenance goes and everything. But if you buy a brand new van with a year warranty, if you're driving it for that first year, you probably will put that warranty worth of miles up on it, and that 100,000 miles in a year worth of time anyway, as much as we use them. You know, we're out here driving 500 miles a day versus people who are at home driving like 30 miles a day max, or whatever, you know, so you can see the difference in miles. So you'd probably use the warranty up in a year, but for that first year, anything major that broke down, you'd have covered underneath your maintenance costs underneath that warranty, because it's a brand new van. That's be the way that I would come out here personally, just because I have some mechanical skills, but I don't want to be spending my entire life, I wouldn't say my entire life, but every other day out there on the road fixing this little breakdown and that little light bulb and that little transmission and this shit, you know, that gathers up on your left and right. I wouldn't want to be spending my time doing that instead of spending my time making money. But there is a different, cheaper way you can go about it. I have a friend of mine, Tony, that's an expediter, and he got into it based out of the south side of Chicago. He went to an auction, bought a $1,500 van at the auction for $1,500. It's just not what it sounds like. The value of the van was like more like $5 or $6 grand, but they auctioned it off cheap for $1,500 because that's the most anybody wanted to pay for it at that auction. So he scored himself a good deal, or a decently good deal for a decently good, dependable van, and went out here on the road and is literally making his way every single day. You know, if something breaks down, he fixes it. And that's great. If you have the mechanical skills to do it, that'd be the cheapest way to get into this business. And I say, hands down, that's the best way to profit out of it. You know, people who work for these bigger companies like Bolt, Express Drivers, V3, Barad, any of us that have a sticker on the side of our van are gonna make fun of those other expediters who don't have the sticker, who drive 40 cents a mile, 70 cents a mile, 65 cents a mile, whatever it is. But really, when you think about their bottom line, they're the ones out here making the profit. Us in these big sticker vans, I don't know, sometimes I would say that we're kind of jealous of those owner-operators that don't have as much skin in the game, that they can walk away and they'd only be out $6 or $8 grand for their van worth, maybe. But it being that van's paid off, they could walk away with their van, versus some of us that have to be out here in a brand new van to be under our company's regulations, or DOT regulations, to be able to drive with stickers for Bolt Express or whatever on the side of the van. And Bolt and them do that on purpose, one, so their vans look good for their customers, but mainly so they're dependable. They don't have to put up with the crap of breaking down under load all the time, like you may have to do with something that's older. But if you get in, you know, that's your choices as an owner-operator. You can get in with something older and do the whole thing yourself, go as your own broker, etc., and bid on loads yourself. That's the other thing I'd want to do, is be able to bid on my own loads. You can do that, or you can turn around and buy a brand new van, put it on someplace like bigger company like Bolt Express, do everything, you know, walk through all their hoops, etc., do everything, meet all their requirements, and get out here and drive, technically speaking, for them. But as an owner-operator, get out here and do that. You have a little more skin in the game, but that's their two choices of being an owner-operator. But truthfully, I would say that would be the best position to be in. I don't know if I'd want to do the hassle of being a fleet owner down the line and having to deal with drivers and fixing it, or other vans and stuff like that. It sounds like a decent idea, but I think I would, if I got to that point, I'd just be an owner-operator. And even then, like I'm saying, I'd probably have a home base someplace that at least I go back to in the winter times or whatever, because you need a break from this every now and then. I mean, you can't keep constantly doing it. I'm doing it for 6 months. It depends on the person. But most people either take every weekend off and go home, or they take every 3 weeks and they take a week off, you know, on their 4th week of the month. A lot of owner-operators do that because they can cover their expenses in the first week or two out here on the road, and that 3rd week is profit, so your 4th week you might as well just take off. Depending on how the industry goes, you know, and how well your month did, you can probably take that last week of the month off. honestly, that's be the most freeing way. If you did that, then expediting would appeal to me, being an owner-operator. If you did it in such a way that you covered your bases, so you didn't have to constantly worry about the expenses, constantly worry about insurance and everything. Being an owner-operator, there's ways to get around it, where you sign into a company, but the company pays the insurance, and you, like I say, you get a newer van, so you're, the majority of everything's underneath the warranty. You still have to cover the deductible, sometimes $500 or $1,000 deductible, but you should be saving back money anyway as an owner-operator. Even as a driver, I should be saving up money. But anyway, getting back to me personally, I'm going to save these 3 checks that are coming to me that are decent, and then hopefully the next 3 or 4 checks that are decent, which is the month of August. And by the end of them, if I can make the goal to set that money aside and save it for once, because so far in the last 5 or 6 months, I've not been able to do that. I have not been able to save back for taxes or nothing. It just seems like every time I get a hit, something comes up, and I end up having to pay this bill or help some of this person out, or pay who knows what. And it just seems life comes along and hits you with something. But I'm not trying to be negative about it or anything. It's just that's my plan, is to save up these 3 checks, these next 4 checks, which is a total of 6 or 7 checks, I think, total in all, that I've worked for by the end of that deal. And probably be done, temporarily speaking anyway, done expediting at the end of last week of August. Because there's a couple different reasons. I want to go hang out with people that I know from, I would almost say, my previous life, the way it feels. And like I say, I get back to that living in one spot for a while, and being a regular at the places and walking in and having people that know your name, know your face, know who you are. I miss that kind of life. And honestly speaking, if I had it over to do it all again, I'd probably stick with my camper van that I had, that older Dodge Explorer camper van that I was gutting out. And the mistake I made there was I went right on the tour of the country, because I wanted to go travel and see everything I've seen expediting, which is the best reason for getting into expediting, is to travel. But anyway, back to the camper van. I made the mistake of taking that old Dodge camper van that wasn't as reliable and taking it around the country, when I should have left it right there in Rapid City, or Farm City, South Dakota, or Miles City, Montana, or somewhere like that, and lived there and stayed and worked at a job right there in the city, kind of like Just Incredible does. That's the way I should have done it, and then gutted out that camper van, lived in it, kept myself happy, just driving around, seeing the sights around the city. And I think, at least for a while anyway, I would have been happier in that term. But then I kind of, when I think about it, I kind of messed up getting my Chevy Traverse and coming out here all over the country and getting my car repoed, which I knew that was going to happen when I did it. But I figured once I got fired from Walmart and I was free, I was having really heavy cabin fever at the time and had to get out of there and take care of my wanderlust at the moment. Now I'm having what I guess I would call wanderlust withdrawal or something. I mean, too much traveling, maybe. I'm at the point of too much traveling, maybe. And it'd be nice to stay someplace local for a little while. And I might, get there and get all settled in, and 2 months in, it'd be like, what the hell was I thinking? But you never know till you try. But I'm not saying I'm going to totally go back to being in an apartment and being in a house and all that, but it's nice to have those feature comforts at times. I think there'll always be room in my life for a camper van or a way to live in a car, because van or something, because it's a lot better than having to pay rent every month. But I don't mind paying rent every now and then, especially through the colder months. And thinking about coming this winter, my choices are, not to put a negative light on expediting, but my choices are cuddle up at my own lonesome self in a nice, deep, down comforter or heavy, military style sleeping bag in the back of the van there, and do that rough kind of winter in a sleeping bag in a van. I've done it before, don't get me wrong, but that's my choices. Or quite possibly, maybe not, fix things with a previous relationship and get back with her or not. I may go that route, I may not. I may just live on my own someplace. But either which way, having the comforts,
stations, 1 mile.
Having the comforts of like a cabin or a house or something, at least temporarily for 5 or 6 months, and go and do that route. And I think I'd be happy doing it as long as it's working at a resort or a seasonal type of job where I know what I signed up to begin with was, up front was 6 months. And then, the job ends at the end of 6 months. That part of it I kind of envy James from Wanderlust Estates on, like, that type of job where you're setting up Christmas trees, or you're setting up pumpkins for that type of seasonal work. And you get to learn everything about how to set up a Christmas tree or how to set up a pumpkin. Not that I want to go do that specifically. I'm just saying he took and learned something. I wouldn't say useless, but it was a different experience by taking the time to go set up pumpkins and taking the time to go up there and set up and sell Christmas trees and stuff like that. He's making something, memories for his life, versus doing the same thing every day. And expediting is getting to that point where I'm just kind of getting burnt out on it, I would say. I wish there was a half decent point where
Gas station, 0.1
you didn't have to
miles.
drive as many miles to make a good paycheck. I mean, everybody would want to come out here and drive 200 miles a day and make $6 a mile. If they paid that, I'd be doing it all the time. But that's not always the case. So you gotta find that happy place where you're not driving your rear end off, where it's nothing but sleep and drive. And at the same time, you're not sitting there doing nothing, not making a paycheck. But expediting is not a constant, reliable paycheck, and it'd be nice to have if you have a second income, like a wife at home with kids, so you can get your insurance under her and all that stuff like that, and then come out here and make bank for your kids during the seasons when you can do it, and then go home in the slow time and take care of the kids for whatever you want to do. That would be kind of a nice thing to do for expediting, but to make expediting work for you. But to come out here, do it all the time and live this way all the time, I don't mind doing it for a while, don't get me wrong. I'd do this every summer in nice weather all the time if I could. But why drive in bad weather conditions all the time and say fighting the ice and everything else? Don't get me wrong, I'm giving mad props to the year-round expediters that do it all the time, because they have to. They come out here and do that. But to me, certain things are worth risking my life-ish to the point for. The older and older I get, the less and less money is worth it. And to come out here and try to drive in blizzards and then freeze ass in the van overnight and everything in the wintertime, it just does not sound like fun to me at all. Just, when you have your choice not to, when nobody's forcing me out here doing this or not. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash expediting this whole entire time. I'm saying this is like one of the best jobs I've ever worked. I'm just gotten to the point where I'm burnt out on it a little bit. Not to mention that not to say that I wouldn't be back at it, because I would come back at it, in a heartbeat if I had my own van and stuff like that. But it's to sum this whole video up, it's time for a change. Kind of like what happened with my camper van after a while, when the engine blew out in Wyoming. I was somewhat relieved because I knew it was time to come off the road. It's the same thing here, it's just, I just want to come off the road for a little while and come back on the road doing something else later on, maybe. And it might be something totally different. You gotta expand your horizons and open your mind up to other possibilities. I might go work on a cruise and not be in the U.S. for a while, go down in the Caribbean islands and wherever the cruise goes to, and talk myself into working those long 10, 12-hour days that the cruise workers work. I'm considering it. I might go work at different resorts. I might go work as a camp host. There's lots of temporary jobs that, especially if you have an RV, would be more of my type of jobs these days, now that I've learned that there's somewhat a better way of living. But I'd like a combination of the two, really. It'd be nice to have a home base or a house you can come back to, or at least a hometown you can come back to within relative distance, which I don't get to have out here, living on the east side of Mississippi. And it would also be nice to get the hell out of there and be able to have a house on wheels, so if you don't like your neighbors, you can pick up and leave. I love that about living in any kind of van. And so that'll always be in the back of my head. I think I'm always going to have a van, man cave, if nothing else, someplace on wheels that I can go disappear, go fishing or whatever. But for the time being, though, that's my exit plan for the moment. I'm going to be saving up, trying to run as hard as I can for the next 4 weeks, and then save those paychecks up. I should have hoping somewhere around 2, maybe if I'm lucky, $3,000 worth saved back. Hopefully, if I can keep myself from spending it all. And then with that, I'm gonna have enough to get on a bus, since I don't have much. Go to wherever I'm gonna go. Buy me a cheap $500 just get around vehicle for the winter. Most likely it's gonna be Bullhead City or Lake Havasu, someplace south or southwest, just because it's the winter time. Otherwise, I'd be up in Rapid City or Miles City, Montana. I'd either be in Montana or South Dakota all the time if it wasn't for the winter again, because why freeze ass when you don't have to? That's the other thing about coming out here and traveling, is now that I've experienced 80 degrees on Christmas Day in December, of course, in Florida, now that I've experienced that and I know better, why would I want to go freeze ass in the wintertime up in South Dakota? You know, back in the day, I just toughed it out and froze ass all the way through wintertime, and that's all, you know, because that's all you ever do. You didn't travel, you didn't do anything else, you just experienced the 4 seasons. Yeah, you had no problems with it whatsoever because you were used to it. But now that I came out here traveling, it's like I spoiled myself, because now I know there's better places that I can at least be spending the wintertime at. And then on top of that, I have the wanderlust, so I'd always be bored. Or not always bored, but you just constantly want to move around and then expand your horizons more and more. Once you've been out here doing it, it's addicting. You want to get out here and just live your life and just totally do what you want when you want, and that is my goal. You know, the older and older I get. In my 20s, I chased that money around doing 90-hour work weeks, 3 or 4 jobs in a week. Just constantly chasing that money, because, man, money, that was a thing. But somewhere in my 30s, I realized that money is not everything. Money's not... It can help you be temporarily happy, but it's not going to make you permanently happy. So you need to manage your time better, you know. In my 30s, I've realized that 40-hour work weeks is enough. The older and older I get, the less and less I even want to work that. Just not because I don't want to, it's just because there was days, like I've preached before time and time again, but there's this one day that I walked along, I had $1.50 in my pocket. I walked up to this pop machine that was $1.68 for a 20-ounce pop in the pop machine, and I remember when the pops were $1 or 75 cents when I was a kid. But anyway, that day the light bulb went off, that I was happier with $1.50 in my pocket than these $800 checks, and I could not believe the difference. The reason why is because I was free. And, you know, yeah, all my time was my time. And ever since that day, I've kind of been on the other end of it, you know. So if expediting gets to be where it's just constantly go, and something that I don't really want to do as a driver, you know, I'm in a position as a driver to where I'm supposed to keep this van moving as much as possible to make me and the fleet owner and everybody money. However, really when it comes to it, I'm going to drive as much miles as I want to, and if I don't want to drive that many miles, well, it's not going to happen. You can fire me from driving your van if you want to. I don't care at this point. I mean, not to say that that expediting is bad or anything, but, you know, it doesn't matter if it's expediting, it doesn't matter if it's working at Walmart or wherever. You know, I've gotten old enough to realize that I'm going to do whatever makes me happy. And if expediting makes me happy, I'll keep doing it. If expediting doesn't make me happy anymore, you know, I start to realize it's getting a little more boring or something, like it is, kind of like I need a change, then I'm going to change my job up, whatever that job is, to something different that makes me happy. And so that's what's coming up, is in a month here, I'm going to change positions, because I know that going into winter, expediting right now is okay. I kind of like it, but it's going to, winter time's going to add more and more somewhat negative things into it, mostly temperature, that I'm not going to, you know, I just don't see the point of going, let's say, up to Michigan to take a nice load up to Michigan and then literally freeze ass in northern Michigan overnight for a night or two because you took that load there. You know, versus living in a camper van someplace where I can live all summer long, or I mean all winter long down there in the south, where I don't have to deal with those temperatures. Why do something which forces you to do something that you don't necessarily want to do just because the money's good, or just because the money pays? You know, I'm old enough to realize that that's not everything in life, that you gotta keep yourself happy. So I hope I didn't take this video on and on and on. I've got to figure out, I'm still on, I'm West 6th, I've got like 50.
After 1/2 mile, turn left.
I'm at the end of my road already. I wanted to get this video done before this road was done. The mileage on this road was done. So I'll end this for this video. I hope I didn't blab on and on and on. It's a pretty long video, but I haven't posted one in a couple 3 weeks, so hopefully those regular subscribers out there will will enjoy the longer video that I'm posting, and then others can watch for however long they want. Obviously, you're free to watch or not watch, and I thank you for your time and effort. I hope I put some real knowledge out there in the world to help reduce road suck, to help future expediters, and I don't want to make expediting sound negative by any
Turn
means
left. County Moto.
at all, because it's not. It's one of the best jobs I've ever worked at. I'm just tired of working it. It's essentially what it comes to. So anyway, like and subscribe, leave comments. When I have future content, I will post another video again.
2.3 miles.
Don't know when the next video will be, just because again I don't have much in the way of content to show you outside of load this, load that, expediting stuff, doing this or doing that. I haven't actually seen any custom campers or anything to show you either lately. But then again, I haven't really been looking, because I've been, at least this last couple of weeks, I've been sleeping and driving a lot and doing nothing but, pretty seems like, which is good for business, but it limits what you can put on video. But anyway, like and subscribe, leave comments, we'll catch you on the flip. Peace.